Okay, so what's up, y'all? Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Mandalorian Super Commando. So, stay tuned. Okay, so it's been a little while since I've done a video, and it's because, I've been having to pack stuff up, get ready to move, and everything, so that's been a lot of trouble, but I have done some shorts in the meantime. So I've got like 4 boxes behind me here, all headed up, ready to go. Nothing but VHS tapes and DVDs. So, I haven't even packed up my collection yet. I gotta get around to doing that too. But, now, if you haven't noticed, I also did change my channel name, if y'all wondering why I did that, because I changed my profile picture. And, with my old name and that picture, it really didn't flow good together. It kind of clashed. It didn't really make a bunch of sense. So that's why I changed it to, because, I use that picture too, because, Darth Maul's always been one of my favorite Star Wars characters, and that's also why I named my channel after Darth Maul, obviously. So to me that flowed, but I may end up changing my background too, I got all my He-Man stuff, like on my title of my channel art there. I may change it to my Star Wars stuff, but I gotta put some stuff back in the shelf, so I got a bunch of stuff off the shelf right now, because I've been doing shorts and video stuff, so I gotta put it all back before I do that. But so anyway, this is the Mandalorian Super Commando. This is from the Ashoka live action series. Now this character first appeared in the Clone Wars, and which they did make a Clone Wars version of this, but I bought this. I found it at Walmart the other day, and this character I actually forgotten about, but it did actually appear in Ahsoka, because I think it appeared in one of them flashback sequences. Like I said, I had actually forgotten about it at the time before I got this figure, and then after I seen it again, I was like, yeah, it wasn't there. Like I said, I totally forgot about it, but so first things first, let's get into the packaging. And so it comes on the standard, vintage collection card back, which is, look like the vintage card back from the late 70s, early 80s. And you see it says Star Wars Ahsoka up there at the top, and Mandalorian Super Commando. It's got a picture of the Commando from the show, as you can see. And there's where the figure in package with all the accessories. Turn down to the back there. Got the, they changed it back to the more first vintage collection back in where, it had this look. But originally they had a picture of the vintage figure and the new one side by side from the vintage card and everything. They quit doing that a long time ago, but that was when the vintage collection first came out. They quit making vintage collection for a long time. And I'm glad they started making them again, because I always liked the vintage collection ones, because they're a little cheaper than Black Series, and they got more collection than 5 POA. So it's kind of like an in between. You have kind of like a morph between 5 POA and Black Series. Is like, they kind of morph them together. So that's kind of cool. People who don't, buy, like I said, 6-inch figures, which I buy a lot of both, so it doesn't really matter to me. But so you see, it's got a read up there. If you want to read that, you can go ahead and pause this. Mandalorian Super Commando there at the top. There's a card, picture, everything. There's not a whole lot there at the bottom or anything. So that's about the packaging. Let's get into his accessories. Okay, so it comes first with these very, very tiny little Mandalorian pistols, which are kind of like all in a silver tone. There's not really any paint details on these, but these are like standard Mandalorian sidearms, which come with most Mandalorian figures, with a few other exceptions like Jango Fett and Boba Fett, and the other exceptions. But most Mandalorians use these. These are actually pretty cool pistols. I actually like the way these look, and these are like the live action versions too, where they're made out of like a Staccato 2011. But as you can see, like I said, not a lot of paint detail, but they are kind of shiny, which is pretty cool. Now he does have holsters on his side here, which he can hold these. So if I put one in his hand here like so, he gets a pretty good grip on the pistol, which is pretty cool. And like I said, he's got I'll just drop him. I'm trying to hold all this at the same time. He's got a holster there on his sides where he can store these pistols when he's not using them. And they're a pretty good fit too, so if I can even go in there. So as you can see, there's his pistols and his holsters, and like I said, they're pretty good fit. You put them upside down, they won't fall out or anything, so pretty good fit. Also very important, he comes with his jetpack, which is looks a lot like Jango Fett's jetpack, his second jetpack that he used in Attack of the Clones. It's kind of the same model as that, in which I do have a 3/4 version here, as you can see. You see, it's not the same sculpt though. They did change it in the peg system, and I'm dropping everything in this video. The peg system is completely different. As you can see, this one will not fit on the back of the Super Commando, which is the wrong color scheme, so that wouldn't work anyway. But which this does, he has a peg hole here in his back, as you can see, where you can peg this in, and it's a pretty good snug fit. It don't fall back off, unlike Axe Wolf's. His falls off pretty easy, and that's very annoying. The Black Series one, but yeah, see, this one's got a pretty snug fit, so that's pretty good. That kind of helps complete the look too with the jetpack. And last but not least, he comes with his rifle, which it kind of looks like a Boba Fett's rifle, sort of, but it's not exactly the same. It's got like a forward grip on there, as you can see. It looks like it's got a threaded barrel too. It's got a scope on it. It's all black mold. There's no paint detail on this whatsoever. It's got like a thumb hole stock on it and everything, which I think this was based off like a flare gun. Like Boba Fett's blaster was based off an old flare gun, and as you can see, pretty cool. It is made of like a softer plastic. You see, it does bend pretty easy, and he can hold this. So you got to get his hand through his thumb through the stock there. You get the trigger finger into the trigger there, which is a little difficult, but you see, you can hold this. You can get him in two-handed poses like I had him earlier in the video, so that looks pretty good. It looks good in one and two-handed poses with this rifle. So for articulation, he's got pretty good articulation for a 3/4 figure. Got the ball joint there at the head, got a hinge there at the swivel at the shoulder, a double hinge there at the elbow, a hinge at the wrist. He's got articulation at the waist and at the waistline there. He's got pretty good hip articulation, a swivel at the hip, a double jointed knee, and a hinge and swivel at the ankle. Let's go with the sculpt, design, and color of the Mandalorian Super Commando, starting with his head. And as you can see, he got the color scheme of Darth Maul's tattoos there and the design and everything, which is because in Clone Wars, when Darth Maul killed Pre Vizsla, he claimed the Darksaber and then took control of Mandalore. And after that, a lot of Mandalorians that were loyal to Darth Maul took and painted their armor in his tattoo scheme, and some of them, like this one, welded Maul horns to their helmet, which I always thought was really cool looking. As you can see, he's got like the not brother horns on the helmet. It's not exactly like Darth Maul's horn pattern, but as you can see here, Darth Maul there, and as you can see, the horn pattern's not exactly the same, but so you the point gets across. As you see, that looks really cool. They're all black too. In the show, they were like silver, but all these are black. But as you can see, it looks pretty neat. I always liked this design. I thought it was cool. So he's got the tattoo scheme and everything, red and black. Red and black really goes good together. It's also got the white parts of the helmet there, which kind of stand out, make it look kind of cool. You see, the back of the helmet is all black with a little bit of red paint details there. And going down to his armor, as you can see, it's also painted in red and black, like Darth Maul there. The shoulder pad's got a little bit of red on this side, but this one doesn't. I don't know if that's an error or something, but as you can see, the shoulder pads are actually separate from the shoulder. They're part of the armor there, and which I'm kind of afraid, if you keep them in dynamic pose over time, might warp these shoulder pads, and they might not sit right, after that. But still looks pretty cool. I kind of like that. And you go into the back, move the jetpack so you can see the back there. The back has no paint detail on it whatsoever, but there's the clips where the jetpack is supposed to hook onto on his armor. So they didn't even paint the vest underneath there. But on the back, you're not going to see this. The jetpack's going to cover it up. So I don't guess that really matters as much, because if you put this on, you really don't see that. So I don't guess it really matters as much. But as you can see, his belly kind of sticks out a little bit from underneath the armor. I felt like the armor should go all the way down to his belt there, but I guess not. You see, it's got a brown undersuit there underneath his armor, which looks cool. And he's got shiny black gauntlets, as you can see, which look really nice. I really like these gauntlets. They're nice and shiny. So there's gloves. See, he's got some red paint on his crotch armor there, as you can see, which is kind of got details where it's scuffed and everything too, which looks really cool. It is a separate piece. The belt can be pushed up, but there's a slit for the belt to plug into. So if you push it up, there's going to be a big slit there. See, there's not a lot of detail on his rear end there. So he's got shiny holsters for both of his blasters, which look really cool. And not a lot of paint detail, but there's like a metal specking on them, which looks really cool. Looks like a little bit of red smudge right there. So I don't think that's supposed to be there. It's just a paint error, I think, because this side doesn't have it. So going down his, pants, everything's got knee pads, which are also shiny, like a metal specking paint to them. Now the bottom of his pants are black, and so are his boots, which these are reused from the Jango Fett mold. You can obviously see, and his shoulder pads are also red. Now what I think they tried to do here is they tried to paint these to make it look like a tall jackboot, and which from a distance that's kind of what it looks like. But they kind of took the lazy way and just painted the pants and everything. So obviously you can tell it's not, but it's what it's supposed to be, I think. But you see, there's no paint detail on the top of his boot armor there either, which is kind of left out. I wish they would paint them red like the shin guards. That'd have been cool. He's got some tread on the bottom of his boots there, which looks really cool, and awesome, obviously some stamps and information and things like that. Comparison time here is the Super Commando compared to his leader Darth Maul. And that's the original Darth Maul figure from all the way back in 1998, the Phantom Menace toy line, which was my childhood Darth Maul, so he's been quite played with. And he's kind of dusty because he's been on the shelf for a while. But as you can see, you can see a lot of similarities, with like I said, the paint scheme and the horns and everything. So pretty cool. Here he is compared to the other, 3/4-inch Mandalorians I have. On each side of him, on this side, I've got Sabine Wren, Jango Fett, Mandalore the Ultimate. Over here is Boba Fett, obviously, and Din Djarin. And now, the Jango, Boba Fett, and Mandalore the Ultimate was a Fett Legacy 3-pack. It came out a long time ago. Yeah, I remember getting that brand new at Toys R Us when I was a kid. And so, as you can see, these are kind of dusty because they've been on the shelf for a while, haven't been moved. So they need to be cleaned, so I'll probably clean them before I put them back on. But as you can see, the Boba Fett and Jango use an older vintage collection mold, so they're not as proportionate, and the helmets on those older molds are not as shaped good. These new ones, their helmets are shaped more right. So that's one thing I like about the newer vintage collection Mandalorians. Their helmets are more shaped appropriately than the older ones. The older ones are kind of narrow and kind of mashed in. But now Mandalore the Ultimate looks completely different because he's an ancient Mandalorian, in an ancient design, so that's why he looks completely different than the others. And as you can see, Sabine there is the shortest of all these. Because she's a girl, so she's gonna be a little shorter than the guys. But as you can see, the horns make the Super Commando, I think, a little taller than even Din Djarin over there. I can't tell because there's a video timer right on my over top of his head, so it's kind of, which you probably don't see that on video, but as I'm recording, there's a video timer telling me how long I'm recording, so it's right over his horn, so I can't tell exactly, but as you can see, pretty cool comparison there. So what do I think of this figure overall? I really like this figure, and I'll probably give this one a 10 out of 10 because I really like this figure, and I'll probably display him in this pose because I really like that pose with the rifle. And it also keeps the shoulder pad and the shoulders in a down position and keep from warping the shoulder pads over time. So I think that's a really good pose. And like I said, I really recommend this figure if you like Mandalorians like I do, and if you're also a fan of Darth Maul like I am. So like I said, this kind of combines two things together that I like. So that's one thing I always liked about these Commandos. So if you want to see more videos like this, give me a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. And I do got some more reviews coming. When I get around to them, I got some more new figures the other day, so I'll probably review them too pretty soon when I can. So give me a thumbs up. Like I said, it helped me a lot, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Till next time.